Up when I'm introduced, I always think they're leaving. When I was at St. Aloysius in East Liverpool, Ohio, and attended that outstanding grade school, taught by the Sisters of Notre Dame, my favorite month during the entire year was the month of May because we always had a beautiful statue of Our Lady and had flowers on it. I thought the songs were prettier. I thought the time was the most pleasant. Maybe it was the fact we were getting ready to get out of school and enjoy the summer. Maybe it was the fact that a young man's fancy turns to baseball at that time of the year. I really don't know. But as I walked in here and saw the beautiful statue once again, the lady, the picture of the statue of Our Lady, I couldn't help but reflect back upon what great times I had at St. Aloysius. Ladies and gentlemen, I've always been intrigued by people that say, well, give me proof, and I'll believe. To me, faith is believing without proof. If you have proof, it's not faith, it's fact. So when I went to Medjugorje, I did not go there to look for proof, to substantiate my faith. I didn't go there as a doubter or anything else. I went there because of the tremendous amount of interest that had been generated by talking to Digger Phelps, our basketball team, and other people that had visited Medjugorje. I told myself and I told my wife that is one place I wanted to go, not for a spiritual reawakening or anything else. I just wanted to go because I'd heard so many fine things about it. We worked out our schedule. We flew into Dubrovnik and went up to Medjugorje. We spent approximately 3 days there. From there, we went to the Vatican, and we had the opportunity to visit with the Pope, and it was really a tremendous experience. But I felt the 3 days we spent at Medjugorje were three of the more fruitful days that maybe I've spent my entire life. We did the things that everybody else did. We went into church. We went into church early. And we sat there the whole day, and I bet you I went to 7 different masses in 7 different languages. Just like you, I knew if I got up, I wasn't about to get back in, judging from the crowds on the outside. We went over, we visited with the visionaries, we took the tour, we went up on the hill, went back up there at night, 11 o'clock at night I think it was, and said the rosary with thousands of other people, went down the rocky path, walked back to the room where I was staying, laid down on the bed, tried to meditate on what had transpired in my life that particular day. There were some things that disappointed me. I thought it was a little bit commercialism. I thought that there wasn't any great spiritual reawakening in my life. I didn't see the sun twirl around. My rosary beads didn't change. But I did feel that there were some awful good things that really impressed me. I was impressed at the fact I sat through 7 masses and not a single collection. That impressed me, being of Catholic faith. I saw people from all over the world. Italians, Spanish, Japanese, Chinese. People from all over the world came there for one common cause. That's to honor Our Lady. I had an awful lot of things happen to me over there, but predominantly in just visiting with myself and meditating upon my faith. I really and truly believe that Our Lady appears there. But whether she does or not is not for me to say. Only the people that actually vision can attest to that. I have faith. But to me, the greatest thing in the world is that she definitely approves it. Because there are more positive things being done in people's religious lives than any other single place. And that could not possibly happen unless it meets with the approval and the blessing of Jesus Christ and His mother. I watched how people interact with one another. We met a young lady over there, my wife and I did. It was 24 years of age, who was on her 4th visit to Medjugorje. And she was over there this time to make arrangements because she was going to be married in Medjugorje to a young man from Miami, Florida. We're in the airport, and my wife has a strange thing as we're leaving Dubrovnik. She always cashes in the money before we leave the airport. We pass through customs, we're there waiting, and the plane is 3 hours late, and we have absolutely no money. We can't get the money changed, and I am absolutely famished. And I struck up this conversation with a lady there that was really quite nice. And after about 45 minutes of visiting with her, she had this huge package of cookies. And I don't mind telling you that was my primary purpose for striking up this conversation. And I finally worked up enough nerve and I said, "Do I know you well enough to ask you to share your cookies with me?" My wife was indeed embarrassed, but the lady was quite nice and did. As we came back, ladies and gentlemen, my wife and I have talked quite often about that visit and about the various things we've done. And I can honestly say this, I don't know how people can get through life without a faith, without a belief. See, coaching football isn't much different than being in Medjugorje or being in your spiritual life. I'm not an expert, ladies and gentlemen, on religion, on faith. I'm not an expert on Medjugorje. I'm like many of you that went over there and had a wonderful experience. But I really believe there's a great deal of similarity between our religious life and coaching football at the University of Notre Dame. I've been very blessed. I've been very lucky. There are always kind of people that are always saying I have bad luck and this and blaming their people and everything else, or blaming all the faults and all the problems they have on everybody else. God doesn't like me, this person doesn't like me, I'm bad luck. I really believe this in the bottom of my heart, that God loves each and every one of us, and He's going to be with us. He's going to send problems, He's going to send difficulties, He's going to make our life very difficult in order to test us. I've been on top, I've been on bottom, I'll be both places again. And every time I've been down and I become despondent and I become quite discouraged, my wife reassures me that all God's doing when He's sending difficult things our way is to prepare us for bigger and greater things. And I find that this has certainly happened in my life. When I came to the University of Notre Dame, we had some very, very difficult problems arise. And I told our football team in 1988 that I really believed the lady on the dome will watch out for this university, watch out for our football team, and if we'll put our faith and confidence in her, good things will happen. Even though we had a lot of trials and tribulations, that God was preparing us for bigger and better things when we won the national championship. Last year, on August the 4th, we lost 12 football players that would have decimated most football teams. So I told our football team once again that I really felt we would have an outstanding year because God was preparing us for bigger and better things. People are always saying, well, this is going against me and that's going against me. The story about the guy who was in hospital, he's 73 years of age, he isn't going to get any better. And his wife Ethel's with him, and he looked down at Ethel, he said, you know, I remember we were married. We lost half the farm because we had a bad crop, but you stayed with me. And then the second year we had another bad crop and lost the other half of the farm, but you still stayed with me. And then I went into 5 businesses, and doggone if all 5 of them didn't go bankrupt. But you still stayed with me. We had 10 children. I couldn't afford to educate them. But you still stayed with me. And here I am dying in the hospital, not going to get any better, and you're still here. I said, Ethel, I've been thinking, I've come to the conclusion you're bad luck. I think that we all have a tendency to feel that God deserts us from time to time, or people are bad luck. I think we all go through that. But ladies and gentlemen, coaching a football team isn't any different in your religious life. First of all, we have goals at the University of Notre Dame. Our goal, obviously, is to win the national championship, play with class, do a variety of different things. But you can't do anything in your religious life if you don't have a goal and you don't have a purpose as well. I'd like to think our purpose is to serve God and to go to heaven. And if you have that as a goal, then it's easy to have an enthusiasm for what you want to do. But I find a football team cannot be very good if it doesn't have a goal, if it doesn't have a purpose, any more than an individual can have a good, strong religious life if they do not have a goal and they do not have a purpose. I think it is absolutely essential to understand that if you have that goal and that purpose and you want to remember one word. Once we set our goal to the University of Notre Dame football team, I give them one word and I say the word win. The word win stands for what's important now. If you would just ask yourself what's important now, I'll guarantee you this, ladies and gentlemen, it's changed my life, it can change yours in a positive manner. I had a young man come to see me yesterday. He's not an athlete, but he's a student at Notre Dame. He's the son of a friend of mine. He had flunked out of the University of Notre Dame a few years ago. He came to the University of Notre Dame when he was readmitted. He came in and see me and said, "Coach, what help can you give me?" I gave him a little card. I said the word win. I said, "What's important now?" You get up every morning, you say you want to graduate, just say what's important now. For example, it's important to go to class. It's important to get your homework done. It's important to get tutoring, whatever the case may be. He came in to see me yesterday to thank me because he was going to graduate from the University of Notre Dame. He's finished his final exams. He said, "Coach, that one card helped me more than anything else." And I say this in your religious life, if you remember the word win, what's important now? It's important to pray. It's important to fast. It's important to make sacrifices. It's important to do the things that Our Lady sends us in her messages at Medjugorje. It is so easy when you just ask yourself, what's important now? If I want to go to heaven, I want to follow the laws of Christ, I want to obey our mother. And what's important now? It's important to stay away from pornography, from lying, dishonesty. You can go on and on. What's important now? You ask that. It's easy to pray, to do the things that you need to do if you'll just say, what's important now? I think the other correlation between being a football coach and your religious life is a commitment to excellence. It's amazing how many people want the University of Notre Dame to be absolutely perfect, infallible, never make a mistake, always beat the point spread, to win by a big margin. And yet they're not committed to excellence in their personal life, or more importantly, in their religious life. I think there ought to be a commitment to excellence, to be the very best that we can possibly be. And I tell our athletes when their career's over, whether we've won the national championship or not isn't important, but what is important, if we've been committed to excellence, to being the very best that we can possibly be. And I know many times when I look back upon my religious life, I do not stand up here as a saint, as a martyr. I stand up here as a Christian. The reason we have church, the reason we have confessions, is because we make mistakes. You and I are not here because we do things the right way. We are here because it is a normal tendency of all of us to stray off the path. And that's why it's important that we get together in a manner like this to substantiate our faith and to strengthen it, that we can follow it even stronger and better. Ladies and gentlemen, I have 3 rules on our football team. They're not 3 complicated rules. They're 3 rules that are very, very simple. I think that these 3 rules apply to our religious life as well. These are not rules that I just sat down and decided I would talk to you about today. These are rules that I really believe in. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just a very simple individual. I really don't like the way that came out. Let me word it another way. I'm simply an individual of average intelligence. When I graduated from East Liverpool, Ohio, I had a strong desire to matriculate to the University of Notre Dame, but I was not smart enough to do so. I was not accepted into the University of Notre Dame for obvious reasons, due to the lack of my academic achievement in high school. They did not think I was smart enough to come to the University of Notre Dame as a student. However, it never fails to amaze me. They think I'm smart enough to teach here. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep in mind that these are 3 very simple rules, but they're rules we have on our football team and rules we follow. Rule number 1 is what we refer to as the do-right rule. There isn't any difference between doing what's right and being a good Christian. I tell our athletes, if you have any doubt between the difference between right and wrong, get out the Bible. I think it's right to be honest. It's right to be on time. It's right to be loyal. It's right to do the proper thing. I don't think it's any different what Jesus Christ and Our Lady ask us to do. It's right to fast, right to pay to penance, to go to confession. Just do what's right. I've never known a football team, a business, a family that will not operate on that one simple principle: just do what's right. Just like my daughter will say to me, "Dad, what time do I have to be home?" I'll say, "What do you think it's right for you to be home?" She'll say, 1 o'clock. I'll say, "I don't think there's much you can be doing right at that time." The second rule we have on our football team is quite simple as well. Let's just do the best you can. Just do the best you can. I don't ask you to be anything better than you can possibly be, but be the best student, the best person, the best Christian, the best athlete that you can be. The last rule we have comes to us from the Bible as well. And that's a golden rule. Treat other people as you'd like to be treated. There are 3 questions everybody asks. Can I trust you? You're committed to excellence? Do you care about me? If you do those 3 things, do what's right, do your best, treat others, it's going to answer those 3 questions, and your life will be very easy to go along. You know, it's really amazing. I read an article recently in the Sun-Times by a young lady, and she related the story how she went into a restaurant to eat, and while she's sitting there, the waiter inadvertently spilled her meal all over her dress. She was absolutely furious inside, but she smiled and said, "That's all right, those things happen." She said normally she would into a tirade, scream, holler, and yell if one of her children or her husband had done it, but she didn't. As a matter of fact, she was quite amazed at the fact that she showed tremendous restraint. She then went out and got in a cab to go to the theater because she had been divorced. The cab driver got lost, and she went on to say in the article how she absolutely deplored the fact that her husband refused to ask directions and got lost, and she'd constantly rant and rave. But when the cab driver did, even though she was absolutely furious inside, she said very little except those things happen. And she relayed about 3 or 4 instances like this, and then at the end of the story, she made a great point. She said, "You know what really amazed me? Was I treated strangers better than I did the man I love. That's probably why he isn't with me today." And isn't it true that we treat strangers better than the ones we love, the people we live with? We think because we live with somebody, it gives us a prerogative to scream and holler and yell and vent our frustrations the minute they do not live up to our expectations. But yet we'll show great patience with strangers. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one thing in this world, if I could give our football team, if I could give this world, I'd try to give it love, and I'd try to give it understanding. If you want to know why we won the national championship in 1988, all you had to do was be with us for a 24-hour period. Because on January the 18th, 1989, after we won the national championship, our football team was invited to the White House, to the Rose Garden, to meet President Reagan. We flew into Washington, we went to the Capitol building and had lunch with many congressional leaders. We toured Washington and we went to the Rose Garden. We took our own photographer, and President Reagan shook the hand of every single football player, and we got a picture with it. He spoke to every football player individually. And as the football team left and departed back to South Bend, it was a tremendous day. But I stayed over in Washington because President-elect Bush was going to have a TV special the very next day, which I was asked to be on. As we went to bed that night, I said to my wife, I said, "I don't think I've ever seen a football team that excited or that happy." Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, at approximately 2 o'clock in the morning, I was awakened by a phone call from the Vice President of Notre Dame, informing me that Bobby Satterfield, one of our football players, had passed away. An autopsy revealed he died of a congenital heart defect. I canceled the reservations and flew back to South Bend immediately. In less than 24 hours after we were with the President in the Rose Garden, our football team was congregated less than 100 yards from where we're sitting today in a team meeting over in Loftus Building. That same football team was so high, so ecstatic the day before, was so depressed, and people were crying. Probably the saddest experience I've ever had in athletics. And they were talking about the virtues of Bobby Satterfield. Bobby Satterfield wasn't All-American, wasn't captain, wasn't first team, wasn't one of the leaders of our team, but he was a member of our family, and our football players loved him, not because he was a great athlete, he was a member of our family. We end up every practice by I say, who has a problem? And somebody might say, you know, I got a little problem, Coach, a battery's dead on the car, and another player would say, that's no problem. I got jumper cables, right after practice we'll start it, or somebody will say, I need to ride back to Chicago this weekend. Another player will say, well, I'm going to Milwaukee, I'll drop you off. In other words, if somebody had a problem, it was all our problems. It wasn't his problem, it was our problem. We were a family, we cared. And as they talked about Bobby Satterfield and the fact he's one of our family, I said to him, why didn't we tell Bobby Satterfield this 2 days ago? Why do we wait until a time of crisis or until we lose a loved one to let people know we love them, we care about them? I feel that the University of Notre Dame, if there's one thing we should excel at, if there's one thing that has really typified Notre Dame over the years, there's a love and a feeling that's permeated this campus. And I truly believe it all starts with the lady on the dome. As our football season came to an end last year, I asked our seniors if there was anything they wished to say to the underclassmen. And Juan Francisco got up, and he said to the young men, he said, while you're here, he said, I suggest you spend time at the grotto and put your faith in Our Lady of God. I did it, and I promise you this. Your faith will be very well justified and exceptionally rewarded. And I really believe that with all of us. We could put our faith and confidence in Mother of God. And while you're on this campus, exemplify the things that have made Notre Dame great, and that's a love for one another. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there isn't any way in this world to be a good Christian, to be a good football player, to be a good mother, good father, good business person without sacrifice. It's very, very difficult in today's day and age to have a good self-image, to believe in yourself. Many people question sometimes, well, gee, this went wrong and that went wrong. And is there a God? But I think it all started when Copernicus came out and said that man's not the center of the universe. That all of a sudden man isn't the center of the universe. And then years later Darwin came out and said we're nothing more than a descendant of animals. And then Freud came out and said, well, we aren't even responsible for our actions. How ridiculous. We go on and on. I'd like to tell you this as I close. Ladies and gentlemen, you are special, and I'm special. I want to give you some statistics. You won't be able to remember the statistics, but I hope that you'll remember the thought. As I stand up here, you can see me. You can see me because you have 100 million receptors in your eyes. You can hear me. You're not deaf. And the reason you can hear me is because you have 24,000 fibers in your ears. You came in here. You have 500 muscles, 200 bones, and over 7 miles of nerve fibers which enable you to move. You have a heart. And that heart has 36 billion beats a year. Year after year, 36 billions of beats. Pumping hundreds, thousands of gallons a year. Man cannot create such a machine year after year. Your skin is not like metal. It doesn't rust. And it wears. And then your lungs. It brings in oxygen in more than 600 million pockets of folded flesh while ridding your body of waste. In your blood, you have 5 quarts of blood, 2 trillion blood cells, and within each blood cell, you have 1 million of molecules, and within each molecule, an atom oscillating at more than 10 million times each second. In each second, you have 2 million blood cells die and is replaced by 2 million year after year. You have a brain, 3 pounds, 13 billion nerve cells, 3 times as many people as there are on Earth. 4 million pairs of sensitive structures in your brain. 500,000 touch detectors, 200,000 temperature detectors. I could go on, but you mean to tell me that that just happened? Ladies and gentlemen, no, ladies and gentlemen, we really and truly are special, and we've been blessed in so many ways. As I say, I have faith. I pray for faith. But faith isn't having proof. Faith is believing when there is no proof. But in my heart, I know. See, God gave us a lot of wonderful powers, ladies and gentlemen. He gave us the power to think, to love, to create, to imagine, to plan. But the greatest power we have in this world is the power to choose. We choose whether we're going to act or procrastinate. We choose whether we're going to believe or doubt. We choose whether we're going to pray or curse, help or heal, be positive or negative, be happy or sad. Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. God gave us the power to choose. I chose to go to Medjugorje. I'm very glad I did. I can't say, go, you're going to have a spiritual reawakening. I can't say whatever. All I can say is this, that God has been awfully good to me, and that's why I'm here, to thank Him and to praise Our Lady for allowing me to be at this school. Thank you very much.
This concludes the talk given by Lou Holtz at the 1990 conference on Medjugorje. This tape is copyrighted by Queen of Peace Ministries and may not be duplicated without prior permission. Additional copies of this tape are available from Resurrection Tape.